I've had this recurrent dream for some years now. A tall, dark man shows me a picture and asks me if I can recognize my father in it. The man in the picture is this man I have never seen before. He looks nothing like my dad. Nevertheless, I inexplicably answer that I do recognize my father. At this point, I usually wake up feeling very peaceful. Other times the dream continues. I am standing before my father's grave. I place some flowers on the ground and I realize the photograph on the tombstone is missing. This man. Remember this man? An internet legend from the late 2000s that claims that the man in this picture has appeared in dreams of thousands of people all around the globe. Apparently, this was discovered in 2006 when an unnamed psychiatrist in New York treated a patient who told them about this mysterious dream man. He kept appearing in her dreams, giving her life advice, but she insisted she had never met this man in her waking life and has no idea who he is. She drew a portrait of the mystery man. A balding, round head, bushy eyebrows, large eyes and mouth, a pretty uncanny-looking guy. She brought it to the psychiatrist, who then very professionally kept his patient information on her desk for everyone to see. Another patient saw and recognized the drawing. Hey, this is the guy who keeps appearing in my dreams. Colleagues got questioned and more patients were discovered who had all seen the same man in their dreams. None of them knew him or recalled seeing him while awake. After collecting dozens of patient experiences, a website was launched in 2008 called thisman.org, giving him the name he is known by. The website's goal was to, quote, help those who have seen this man in their dreams and to foster communication among them, and to understand who this man is and why he appears in an apparently patternless array of situations in the dreams of such diverse human subjects. The website asked for experiences with this man while presenting what little was known about him. Soon it started to gain traction, and mysterious posters popped up around the world. On posts, buildings, signs, and other public spaces, passerbys were asked if they've ever seen this man in their dreams, encouraging to visit thisman.org. And it worked. It's been claimed that in a year, millions visited the webpage and over 10,000 emails were received in 30 different languages. In these emails, people described their dreams involving the man or presented their theories of what's going on. Why is this guy appearing in dreams of random people across the world? How does he do this? Who exactly is he? God, a demon, extra-dimensional being, or just an ordinary bloke who can somehow invade others' dreams like SpongeBob? Many described their dreams as nightmares, where this man had harmed them. But he wasn't necessarily evil, because others said he was a calming, warm presence. Some even had romantic dreams about him. Yeah, he's pretty hot, alright?
Sexy eyebrows!
But as their website got viral in 2009, some were dubious. Something seemed off about this site. This man was allegedly discovered by psychiatrists, but why is there not a single scientific paper about him? Why is the first psychiatrist unnamed, simply described as being well-known? In fact, why are all the details kind of vague? It was found out that the site's domain was connected to another webpage named guerrillamarketing.it. The whole thing was soon revealed as a hoax, and the This Man project officially concluded in 2010. So it turns out it was a marketing campaign manufactured by an Italian sociologist and artist named Andrea Natella. Guerrilla Marketing was his advertising company, and this man was intentionally designed to be a viral global phenomenon and an urban legend. After the truth came out, the story of this man lived on. Some still swore they had dreamed about him, either not knowing or just ignoring the fact it was a proven hoax. Unaware YouTube videos, Instagram posts, TikToks, even news articles about this online mystery kept on popping. Big horror YouTubers started to cover it, making its hoax nature more common knowledge.
You should also know the website was created by a marketing strategist named Andrea Natella.
This man, he's not real. I know, I'm sorry. It was a marketing stunt.
It was actually simply a guerrilla marketing campaign.
It was confirmed that it was simply a marketing ploy.
Natella revealed that the site was a hoax as part of a guerrilla marketing campaign.
Dick the Birthday Boy.
I've heard the story so many times, but something about it always kind of bothered me. When this man is concluded to be a marketing campaign, one important thing is left vague. What was it supposed to advertise then? From what I've seen, usually the YouTuber doesn't know, says nobody knows, or in some rare cases they claim it was supposed to market a movie. It never got made, so all we have of this cancelled film project is the online legend. So it was advertising a movie. Case closed. But it's not that simple. You see, it is true that a movie about this man was announced back in 2010.
Hire this man!
It was supposed to be directed by Brian Bertino, known for The Strangers, and produced by Sam Raimi's Ghost House Productions. So was this movie on their minds already back in 2008, when thisman.org domain was acquired by Andrea Natella? Well, to me it seems more likely that the movie idea actually came along later, only after this man was already a well-known online mystery. I've only found one source claiming that it's the other way around, and this man was always about advertising a movie. It's an article by Kernel magazine where the writer says this is, quote, almost certain. But they never elaborated this. Yeah, never in the article do they explain why they think this is the case or what do they mean by almost certain. They simply state this is the case and move on. Like, damn, okay. So unless I'm missing something, the only source used for backing up this claim is a pretty bad one. And I don't know why an American film producer would hire a random Italian guy who's unknown outside of his home country to advertise their upcoming Hollywood movie. Like, I don't know how the movie business works, but that makes no sense to me. If we look at the website of Cook, Natella's other marketing agency, this man is listed as one of their projects, and the customer, so to say, was listed as Cook itself. Cook was founded by Natella in 2009, so around the same time the website for this man was created. So maybe the project was about marketing Natella's cool new agency rather than a movie. Like, maybe the point was to show potential customers how the internet and non-conventional innovative mediums like manufactured legends can be used for advertising, at least by someone who knows what they're doing. Sure, it's plausible Natella always had a movie in mind. Maybe he was just waiting for Hollywood producers to notice his epic spooky story and fight over the rights of this man. But I haven't seen him mentioning this anywhere. In fact, Natella's own explanation was that he simply wanted to create an urban legend. Maybe this man didn't have a commercial motive at all. We have only assumed this because the creator is tied to marketing agencies. By that we are forgetting Natella's background in sociology and art. It's not like he only exists to market stuff. Besides, if the goal was to advertise Cook agency, you would think it to be more obvious from the site itself, like with the company's other projects. Like, yeah, it's not that great marketing if you have to look up the domain owner to even find out it's connected to an ad agency. The most likely explanation is that this man was nothing more than a social experiment, playing with themes of internet's global influence and dreams. In case you're curious about this man, the movie that we never got, only a little bit was told to the public. The plot was briefly explained to be about this guy who finds out that people around the world are having dreams about him. So now this everyone's dream man tries to solve the mystery that he is a centerpiece of. I couldn't find out any more details like casting, implying that the project never got that far. I also can't tell when it was cancelled. This man, the movie, was mentioned for the last time in 2012 when director Bertino was briefly stated to be trying to make the movie. In news articles covering the movie, it's often claimed to be fact-based, based on a true story. Yet this claim was originally made in the press release from the Ghost House Productions, implying that it was an intentional marketing technique that assumed most of the journalists want to know and won't check to find out that it was already a proven hoax at this point. And some of these articles are just big journalism. Like Andrea Natella, because of his name, is assumed to be female in some of these. A simple Google search, guys. Like, you wanted me to disable my ad blocker for this. Originally, I simply wanted to find out what this man was actually even made for, but now I also want to talk about the meaning of this, one of the most well-known online legends. Like, what does it say about the era it was made, about internet culture and urban legends as a whole? Why did it work so well? Why does this face still appear like everywhere as a symbol of internet mysteries, despite being debunked like 50 years ago? This is the story of this man. Back in the 2000s, the internet was a magical place. It was the era of Flash games, MySpace, MSN Messenger, Mario parody animations on Newgrounds. Memes were cat pictures with impact font and rage comics. Art was posted on DeviantArt, where you could check out Sonic Fate or Thomas the Tank Engine erotica. Good times. You could find anything on the internet, and I feel like we didn't really question what we saw there, at least as much as now, when because of AI slop everywhere, we scrutinize every single thing, trying to analyze whether an image or video is fake. Sure, Photoshop was a thing back then, and that also changed our perception of reality, teaching us that even our own eyeballs can't always be trusted. Like being able to tell something was photoshopped because of the pixels became a common copy-pasta phrase and a meme. But even still, Photoshop was mostly used for humor, often being super obvious. Trolling was a foreign concept to most, so if you were convincing enough, you could make people believe all kinds of ridiculous stuff fairly easily. In 1998, a website was launched to raise awareness for an endangered species, the Pacific Northwest tree octopus. This little guy could live both on water and on land, residing in trees, like the name implies, where it eats bird eggs. Its natural predators include cats, bald eagles, and the Bigfoot. The site calls for action to save the species that's about to go extinct because of deforestation and humans killing them as pests. Yeah, it's not a real animal. The site was made as a joke and this is photoshopped. See the pixels? It's an early example of internet hoaxes and later it's been used as an example of how gullible we can be. It's been used in at least 2 studies where most school children thought it was real. At the turn of the millennium in the year 2000, there was a website named bonsaikitten.com. The owners of the page claimed to breed cats that were kept in these glass jars in order to mold them into their shape, similar to bonsai trees or those Japanese fruits grown in cubic shapes. Apparently this was an ancient art form from the mysterious Far East, and the site had a detailed description of the process. A kitten's skeleton is apparently so soft that if dropped, they can bounce right back up like a super ball. Yeah, this was also a hoax, and one of the most well-known ones from the early 2000s. This is because of the outrage it caused, as many took the site seriously. They were unsurprisingly really mad about this blatant animal cruelty, and even the FBI investigated the site, concluding that no cats were actually harmed. In 2003, a website named seemerot.com was created. It showed a supposed live stream of a dead person lying inside their coffin, and anyone stumbling upon the page could watch them slowly decompose in their grave. Apparently, the site advertised this as a service. You could set up a similar live stream of your own to see your loved one rot. I bet it was real popular, like who wouldn't want to see that? If I ever get married, I want a laptop there that shows like live footage of the skeleton of my grandma. Yeah, too bad this wasn't real either. It was a way to generate traffic to the site that was filled with ads for adult content. The internet was seemingly full of hoax websites like these, sites about selling human meat or live tigers shipped globally, a young couple intending to lose their virginity on a live stream, the first pregnancy of a biological male, a bunny that was about to be eaten unless you pay the owner, etc., etc. Messing with internet users has been a thing since, well, the internet became a thing. Even supernatural elements were common in hoaxes when hackers convinced news outlets to publish their fake UFO or cryptid sightings in the 90s. As I said earlier, I do feel like we were more naive back in the day. Maybe it's only because I was a child at the time, or maybe it's because lying on the internet was such a foreign concept back then. Because, well, we were just learning what the internet even was. The whole thing was new and foreign to us. We weren't used to Google stuff to fact check, and anything seemed possible in the endless sea of GeoCities web pages. Yeah, maybe it is plausible someone is selling cube-shaped cats. Why not? We got a computer somewhere in the early 2000s, and yeah, of course, I believed everything I saw because I was a dumbass kid, but my parents also believed in all kinds of weird shit. Like I remember after 9/11 happened, my mom told me that if you take the flight number of the first plane that hit the towers and change it to Windingswand, it revealed like a secret message that implied they knew about the attack beforehand. She had learned this from a random Russian forum post and totally believed it, and she has never been a conspiracy nut or anything. Little psychote me reacted to this information like, well, that's crazy, mom. In case I have to make it clear, yeah, it's a hoax. The flight number isn't correct. But maybe nothing has really changed. We can all see how people still believe in the most brain-dead stuff, especially grandmas on Facebook. Like, come on, guys. Despite what some might think, online hoaxes aren't usually made with malicious intent. They can be seen as rather a form of expression and use of imagination. And yeah, I think most of them were either social commentary or simply jokes. They only seem malicious if they make you feel stupid for falling for them. Like, people tend to cope with this uneasy feeling by blaming those who expose us for being gullible. Like, how dare you make me feel dumb for believing in a fucking tree octopus?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
So, in this cultural climate of hoax websites, this man wasn't out of place at all. It wasn't the first nor the last of its kind. The only thing is that there weren't that many notable hoax sites that involved the possibility of paranormal. At least I don't recall and couldn't find any. This man was first seen as a hoax, but it later became perceived primarily as an urban legend and a part of internet folklore. Like online hoaxes, the internet has also been a place for creating and spreading folklore as long as it's existed. Stories told and retold by ordinary people as if they are true events. Creepypastas come to mind, and this man is sometimes referred to as one. Or things like Polybius, Mandela effect, glitches in the Matrix, and John Titor. They are all examples of online folklore with their own cultural meaning. This man was created by a specific single author, but it started to have a life on its own, with others collaborating and adding to the story and character, as we can later see. I saw this man in my dream, dressed as Santa Claus. When he showed up, I felt so happy, just like when I was a little girl. Then he smiled at me, and his head became a balloon floating in the air above me. No matter how hard I tried to catch it, I just couldn't reach it. Now that we have covered how common online hoaxes were at the time, it might still surprise you how so many believed into this man phenomenon. It's so easy to explain rationally. The way we recall dreams is unreliable. We don't really remember that many details like faces about our dreams. So assuming not everyone is lying, they likely dreamed about someone who maybe looked kinda similar to this man, and when they heard about the story and saw the picture, they were like, holy shit, I've also seen this man. Many dreamers even point out themselves how he actually looked different in the dream. Yeah, I definitely had a dream about this man, except he had a mustache and a nose ring, and there was also an eye patch and microbladed eyebrows, and he also looked like Abraham Lincoln. And after you hear about this man, it's not unlikely to dream about him, especially if the story affected you deeply and you found the whole thing kind of spooky. So it's nothing too weird, right? But a lot of people not only believe that all these witnesses dreamed about the same exact man, they also believe this must have a more unusual explanation, perhaps even something paranormal. There are several theories explaining the phenomenon on the website itself. One of them relates to Carl Jung's psychoanalytic theories. According to it, this man might be an archetypal image from the collective unconsciousness. Jung has explained that we all have certain archetypes in our psyche, characters in the subconscious that appear in stressful times and dramatic changes in our lives. So according to this theory, this man is not an actual person. He only exists in all of our psyches, and he appears in our dreams when we are dealing with stuff. Others think he might be God himself, contacting us through our dreams. He just happens to like the form of a unibrow dude, or maybe God just looks like that. Others think he is more likely the Antichrist. Then there's the so-called dream surfer theory that a lot of the visitors on the website's guestbook seem to like. This theory states that this man is a real person and he has the power to enter others' dreams. Yeah, it's a bit easier to approach than Carl Jung's psychoanalytic theories, like that is some big boy reading. This dream surfer might be doing this just for shits and giggles, or maybe he works for a government or a corporation having a specific mission. Maybe it's psychological warfare, maybe he is an interdimensional being or an alien, maybe it's a new tactic by Jehovah's Witnesses to spread their message, maybe it's Maybelline. This man works because it's vague and open-ended enough to leave room for imagination. The site gives you several explanations, but they only guide you to think for yourself. What do you think is the most likely cause? The story is also fairly believable and convincing. It's not necessary to believe that an interdimensional dream surfer Antichrist from space is holding our dreams. But despite plausible natural explanations, in the back of your mind a thought might persist. It is kinda odd though, like what if something more mysterious is going on? The official website has a guest book where anonymous commenters discuss all things this man, and I checked some of the comments that were made in 2009 to like 2011. Mostly they are about how scary it all is and how creepy the picture looks. Him appearing in commenters' own dreams is unsurprisingly a common topic. After all, that was what they were asked. It's understood as this man's horrific influence, even if the dream took place only after visiting the website, like he is an actual entity that's now coming for you after you've seen his face. Comments freaking out about this man haunting their dreams are seemingly endless, many being afraid they will now start seeing him. This picture has really scarred me. It is just so creepy. I am very worried I'm going to have a nightmare with him because I can't stop thinking about him. I can't say I know if I've seen him or not. The more I look at the picture, the more scared I am. I can't help but think that I've seen him in a dream before. I'm just unaware of when and what happened. This website terrifies me. You've got to be kidding me. It's just not possible. He was in a dream I had about my mother after she died. I had that same recurring dream for over 6 years. That was 5 years ago, and I haven't heard of this thing until now. This is very interesting. It must be supernatural. I find it odd that everyone who hasn't dreamed of him gets chills when they see him. When I see the face, I feel like I'm being haunted. There should be more research on this. By the way, I've never dreamed about this man myself, not even now when, because of this video, I've been staring at this stupid face for weeks. The website itself doesn't focus on the dreams after learning about this man. It's the audience itself that seems to have really taken and ran with it. They're probably influenced by other similar online and offline legends, where when you learn about the spooky creature, you're destined to meet them either in real life or in a dream. Like in those Japanese urban legends, where when you hear about the story, you become cursed and you'll soon have the same scary dream. It's continuation from the age-old folk belief of speak of the devil and he'll appear, where evil beings' names shouldn't be even mentioned, because saying it out loud works as a summoning ritual. This man blurred the line between online and offline worlds. The website wants to really stress the fact that this is a global phenomenon. The internet had made possible for him to travel across the globe, and the names of random cities are listed on the website like Pitbull. Los Angeles, Berlin, Sao Paulo, Tehran, Beijing, Rome, Barcelona, Stockholm, Paris, New Delhi, Moscow, etc. There's also a bunch of pictures of the posters popping up around the world. Poster templates were downloadable in different languages, so anyone could print and place them in public spaces. And this is a clever way to spread the word around. Like Andrea Natella didn't have to do anything himself, letting the visitors of his site participate in the hoax and get more eyes to it. Legends live by retellings, and online myths are often participatory. In addition to spreading the word in real life, netizens analyze, theorize, and have conversations about the case, or if it's even true or not. Along with the vague nature of the story, encouraging discussion and a sense of community is one of the most important aspects that makes the story work so well. Feelings of suspense and fear are experienced together, and you get a sense that a lot of people have had a similar weird experience. It gives the story credibility. Something must be going on if so many claim the same thing. Even the skeptics and those who already know it's a hoax are part of the legend's life force. They keep it alive with their own discussions and arguments. Yup, these comments didn't stop the influence of this man, and after someone calls it out, new frightened commenters appeared as if nothing happened. I think the most important part of why this man works is the picture of his face. It's effective in a subtle way, and that's why it still pop-ups all the time while exploring the spooky side of the internet. It has this eerie, weird aura that's hard to put into words. The face is at the same time generic and uncanny. The way he stares right at you wherever you are at the website is uncomfortable. It's weird to look at, and I can understand why so many think it's creepy. One commenter even resolved to hide the face with a post-it note while browsing the site because they found it so hard to look at. And the context only adds to the already existing eeriness of the image. You mean this is the face you see in your dreams? Ugh.
What a scary bitch.
Some might argue it's only scary with the context, but I think the picture itself has something that makes people uneasy. After all, it's the face that's spread all over the internet and the real world, often without the story connected to it, like without the question, have you seen this man? The face is like one of those police composite sketches of crime suspects or unidentified bodies. You know the ones, the super creepy faces that exaggerate certain features, creating an uncanny vibe. And this connection makes sense, because the picture was most likely made with this Flash game. Ultimate Flash Face was created in 2002, where you combine facial features to make your own composites. The game is archived, but it doesn't seem to work right now, so I can't really prove this by trying to recreate this exact face. But it definitely looks like this man's mug was made with this game. Yeah, it's no wonder commenters say he looks like a serial killer. Like, it does make you curious and wonder who is this guy. The supposed sketch of this man is not necessarily depicting any real person, despite tons of suggestions made by page visitors. Many claim they know him in real life. It's their neighbor, friend, co-worker, boss, dad, uncle, cashier at 7-Eleven. Some say they themselves look like the guy. He is also being connected to various wildly different looking public figures, like the President of Egypt, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Kevin Spacey, Stephen Hawking, Carl Sagan, Joe Jonas, Mr. Bean, or Michael J. Anderson, specifically in Twin Peaks. I don't really see the resemblance in any of them. It seems like the facial features are vague enough for recognizing all kinds of people. Everyone has seen someone that looks like him. That might be actually the point. This man could be anyone among us. But some sources claim that apparently Andrea Natella has explained that the face is based on his own father when he was younger. Damn, your dad looks like Gargamel. As I've demonstrated now, the guest book has been a busy place for discussions relating to this man. Theories, is it true or not, who he looks like, how creepy he is, and of course some are just shitposting, claiming this man molests them in their dreams, or epic Chuck Norris jokes. It's the 2000s after all. Those who declare this man as a hoax are often angry at the site's dishonesty, even calling it out as a scam or fraud. It's even claimed that words like marketing campaign are being censored, implying the website takes heavy measures to keep the illusion of a mystery. Another claim is that the point of the site is to collect email addresses. Interestingly, some make the connection that it must be a marketing campaign for a movie, but not about this man himself, but a Nightmare on Elm Street remake that did come out in 2010. This is assumed because of the similar dream-oriented story, and because some say Jackie Earle Haley, the actor of Freddy Krueger in that film, looks like this man. Huh? By the way, the website is still updated to this day. It's not clear who is in charge of it nowadays. They simply identify themselves as the thisman.org team. The site publishes Thisman-related articles like him being referenced in media, or fan creations like fan art, memes, makeup tutorials, tattoos, unofficial merch, of shrine. They even issue a warning against this man-inspired coin. The idea is to keep the memory of the hoax alive, to collect this man-related stuff together to prove how meaningful it still is to a lot of people. The guest book is also surprisingly active to this day, and I tried to read some of the recent comments. There are some dream descriptions here and there, but mostly it's a shitstorm of people just arguing and lots of shitposts. Like, it seems to have its own community and culture, so as an outsider I have no idea what the hell is going on. Despite many having forgotten the whole thing, this man is still alive and well in its niche corner of the internet. It tells us how successful Andrea Natella's campaign was, a good story that makes you think and feeds your imagination, designed to be a viral global sensation that's easy to spread, and it's also open for interpretation. It's kinda spooky, but not too scary or supernatural to become too unbelievable and corny to most people. It's just eerie enough to appeal to larger audiences. I dreamed of this man when I was in the 10th grade. He hasn't been in any recurring dreams, just one very memorable and terrifying dream. In my dream, I was stuck in a room sitting on a stool. A few feet away from me, there was a television set. I was visited by two men I had never seen before, not this man, and they both attacked me. I woke up covered in sweat and tears, and I was screaming. I somehow fell asleep, then I found myself back in the room. I started screaming and crying. Then this man showed up on the screen. I begged him not to harm me. He didn't change his blank expression or speak. He slit my throat and I woke up. I suppose he let me out of the nightmare, but I couldn't stop thinking about him for weeks. I still have some of the sketches I drew of him. I know it's kinda weird. So, who is the man behind this man? Andrea Natella is an Italian sociologist who in the 90s co-wrote a book about illegal rave parties, making it clear he's been interested in new forms of expression and unconventional, even controversial topics for a long time. He's had a long career in guerrilla art and advertising campaigns even before his most well-known creation. One of his early stunts was the hoax of Regione UFO landings in 2001. He and another guy named Fabrizio Carli made tracks in the Italian city of Regione that looked like an UFO had landed there, aiming to create media fuss. Natella humbly describes this as the first and most important guerrilla marketing campaign in Italy. What was it marketing? Well, the city of Regione itself. The goal was to attract tourists. Other projects include a fake group of ufologists who are also radical Marxists, a marketing agency that uses psychics, a website where you can place a bet on where the next terrorist attack will happen, and a political party that chooses its candidates by lottery. Yeah, if the candidate gets elected, their prize is the salary they'll get, and they can choose to do nothing at all. So messing with people has been kind of his thing, along with contentious topics. As you can guess, he often uses his work as social and political commentary. One of his later online campaigns was his petition on change.org made in 2016. This petition was named "Say No to David Bowie Dead", pretty much asking God or whoever's responsible to resurrect the recently passed artist. Natella wanted to generate discussion about celebrity culture and how we perceive these almost non-human stars. We idolize them to the point that it's hard to accept their mortality. He also wanted to criticize modern collectivist culture where nothing is truly achieved with shallow statements of thoughts and prayers.
Meme school.
Natella seems to be fascinated by the internet, how it can be used for expression and how it influences us. During his career, the internet evolved from a brand new medium to an established part of our daily lives. Natella likes to compare viral marketing to biological viruses. You know, viral virus. It's organic, alive, constantly changing and mutating. It's easy to see this man as a virus, spreading and transforming in its online environment, occasionally spilling into the offline world. He's admitted to being interested in dreams as well. Media where dreams are being invaded had inspired him while creating this man. Both dreams and the internet can be seen as these otherworldly places where anything is possible. Natella wanted to create an urban legend with this man, which proved to be successful because we are still talking about it today. Even after the truth came out, only a few knew about it, so the story was easy to keep alive despite this. Nowhere on the site itself does it say it's a made-up story, not even today. Perhaps the alleged censoring on the guest book also helped. Being an epic trolling master, Natella duped the journalists of Vice in 2015, still pretending that this man is a real thing and not something he made up. In an interview, he claimed that it all started by this man appearing in his dream back in 2008. He had demanded Natella to create a website in order to solve the mystery of why he is invading people's dreams. So the site was made by this man's instructions, who Natella describes as an extra-dimensional being. The journalist reported all of this without a question, apparently not googling his famous bullshitting interview beforehand. Vice later published a correction expressing embarrassment of the fact they had been bamboozled by the story of this quote Andrew Lloyd Webber looking motherfucker. Natella seemed to enjoy the fact that his story was still being taken seriously. Maybe he still smiles in content while thinking about those who to this day repeat the legend of this man. I fell in love with him from the very first time I saw him in my dream. Even though, if I think about it, I must admit he's really ugly. And yet, each and every time, he sweeps me off my feet with his romantic gestures and sweet words. He buys me flowers, jewelry, he takes me out to dinner or to the beach to watch the sunset. Mysterious entities haunting online dwellers became only more popular after this man's original campaign. At the same time, or soon after him, a bunch of images of spooky faces became popular. A lot of them got stories attached to them, where the owner of that horrifying mug is coming to visit you at night very soon. Creatures like Momo, Smile Dog, or this also work as reflections of our cultural anxieties about malicious forces on the internet. Before the virtual cursed content, similar horror stories were made about telephones, radios, and televisions. These ghosts in the machine invade your electronics and your mind. The police composite-like nature of the image of this man might have inspired later usage of real composites in horror. Analog horror especially loves to use the more uncanny police sketches. This man had already proved that a picture like this can easily create uneasiness in viewers, even without the criminal context. Yo, this man crawled so Selena Delgado Caron. Dreams are common elements in urban legends and online horror as well, both before and after this man. Dreams are kinda mysterious themselves. We don't exactly know why we dream. Like, why does our brain choose to conjure wild hallucinations while resting? Is our subconscious trying to tell us something? Is it possible for outside forces to influence dreams? Dreams have inspired artists for generations with their limitless otherworldly nature. Kinda like on the internet, anything is possible. Dreams are also universal, having a large appeal. And it's an alright tool for storytelling, even if you try to persuade that the events are true. Like, you don't need to rationalize dreams at all. They are believable because everyone has dreams and everyone knows how weird they can get. And no one can prove or disprove that someone really dreamed what's being described. Like, I had a dream once where I was at a convention and I saw a guy that was like 7 feet tall, and he had this really detailed and hyper-realistic costume of Sonic the Hedgehog, specifically the Sonic from the movie, before the redesign. I looked at him and thought, wow, what an epic cosplay, it's so realistic. But the guy suddenly hunched over and started to vomit diarrhea. A lot of diarrhea. Everyone freaked out and ran away, and they had to shut down the con because he had caused a flood. Yeah, comparing to that, seeing a man with a unibrow as Santa Claus who then turns into a balloon, yeah, that is nothing. Makes more sense to dream that. Like, what the hell was my subconsciousness up with that one? So no wonder that dreams are constantly being used in urban legends and horror, like again in those Japanese legends that I had YouTubers explain to me in a spooky voice when I try to fall asleep. Those where you start having a series of dreams after hearing the story where you have to do certain tasks or you die, because of course the stakes are that high. or Dear David, a story created by Adam Ellis that took place on Twitter in 2017. It started with Ellis describing his weird dream about the ghost of a boy, escalating to this David causing paranormal activity and even possibly possessing him. The story does not focus on dreams, but it does have some similar traits with this man. They are both open-ended interpretative online stories that can have natural and paranormal explanations, and they both had movie projects in plans that were a mess. This Man movie never got even made, and Dear David had a nightmarish production before finally coming out in 2023, long after the story was even relevant. Everyone had already forgotten it. I sure had. And look, I'm not talking about Dear David because I think this man directly influenced it. I don't know that. And you can find these kinds of similarities in other online horror projects as well. This is more telling on what kind of techniques online horror tends to use and what works for them. Oh, by the way, I've been actually lying to you all this time because this Man movie actually did manage to come out last year. But not by Ghost House Productions or any American company. It was made in another side of the world entirely, in Japan. A movie simply named This Man got released in the summer of 2024 by director Tomoshiro Amano. Not many Westerners seem to have even seen the movie, and those who have weren't really amazed by it. I would have checked it out myself, but I couldn't find a legal way to watch it. It doesn't seem to be on any streaming services. It looks like the story is fairly loyal to the original. A lot of people visiting psychiatrists, dreaming about the same eyebrows dude, difference being that now this man makes them lock off the server, so to speak. Reviews agree that the movie sucks in every way, so much so it becomes unintentionally funny. So yeah, so glad a movie about this man is finally here. Seems like a masterpiece. Where is my Sonic.exe the movie? Please, I'm begging for someone to make it. One kind of bizarre thing surrounding this man are the real people who claim to be him, and I don't mean comments about him looking like Kevin Spacey or Gargamel or whatever. What I mean is, for example, a religious figure in India not only says this man is a divine being, but he also claims that it was actually him this whole time. So just so you know, this is our guy, looks exactly like him, right? Or maybe he's this guy, a South Korean politician who has also been connected to this man. To put it lightly, he's an eccentric figure. He apparently has an IQ of 430 and he's able to teleport and levitate. Despite his big brain and sick superpowers, his political success has been very limited. Another religious figure in Pakistan has also been claimed to be him. And this guy says he has premonitions, like holy dreams, where he's in contact with Allah and Prophet Muhammad. He has allegedly foretold events like a flood in his home country and even the global pandemic. Oh, and the World War III is coming. Yeah, that's really nice. But yeah, I think it's pretty fascinating that he's being associated with men of several different faiths and how this man is being used as like a proof of someone's holiness. Tons of adaptations or references to this man have been made in media over the years. For some reason, he seems to be pretty popular in East Asia particularly. I already mentioned the Japanese movie, but there's also the This Man manga series that was made in 2018, where he's of course a psychotic killer. He appears in Down to Dawn, where everyone in a Meido cafe has his face. Moving on to South Korea, there's an animated series named Jimby House, where in one episode this man is haunting children's dreams. Another Korean show, Mysterious TV Surprise, covers the online story itself. And there's also a Netflix movie, Lucid Dream, that apparently references this man. Our Chinese contribution is the horror comic named The Evil Museum. It looks like the late 2010s especially had a sort of a boom of this man-related media. Several Western media has also referenced this man, like the 11th season of The X-Files, his face popping up all over the season. Similarly, we can catch a glimpse of his face in a French-Canadian drama Stat. It looks like Western media only makes like small nods to this man. He's like just a small Easter egg hidden in the background, not being a part of the narrative. But unsurprisingly, when we start looking from the internet, you can find him all over the place. He's in the backrooms, other online horror series like The Smile Tapes, indie games like Something in the Woods, and a bunch of music and cover art. And there's an FNF mod, because of course there is. And lots of memes, like where the face in the poster is changed to something else, and hilarity ensues. This man has become an integral part of online folklore, a face that symbolizes eerie mysteries. It's kind of like an inside joke and a reference to those familiar with online horror and mystery content. So this man has a life on its own, outside of Natella's control. Other people adapt, continue or reference the story in their own works, creating something new with it. Andrea Natella showed us how in this modern world one can create a global hoax and urban legend demonstrating the force of the internet. And the legend proved to be a long-lasting one. When I hear the words "this man", I still immediately imagine a guy with a unibrow. Natella managed to create something that affects us long after visiting the website. We keep thinking, what if I'll start dreaming of him? What if it isn't completely fake? And when you're scrolling online, his face just randomly pops up in an Insta post or a tweet. Or when you go outside to touch that grass, you see a graffiti of him on a wall or a sticker on a pole. You start seeing him everywhere. He's spreading like a virus. That Andrew Lloyd Webber looking motherfucker. I've seen some comments online complaining that horror YouTubers don't cover internet mysteries anymore, only true crime and ARG/analog horror projects. They're asking, aren't there any online mysteries anymore? And yeah, I feel like in the past decades, there were more stuff like this man, Lake City Quiet Pills, Cicada 3001, or WebDriver Torso, where you weren't sure if it's real or not, if it's just artistic expression or something real, like an actual mystery. You didn't immediately think that this must be an ARG if you saw anything even remotely weird online. This may be because back then most people weren't that familiar with ARGs. I feel like they became more mainstream only at the end of the 2010s. The idea of people making weird art shit just for the fun of it was not that easily accepted. Some would rather think it had to be some conspiracy or serial killer stuff. The internet also feels smaller nowadays. Everything is centered around a couple of websites and social media platforms. We don't explore the sea of endless random websites, and mysteries usually don't get their own website anymore. They are YouTube videos or Twitter posts. Sure, this makes them more accessible, easier to get eyes on, but these platforms are also kind of limited comparing to websites. So is the era of internet mysteries over? Well, I think they have changed and evolved for sure, but it's not like they're extinct. Internet culture has changed since 2009, so it's only natural that mystery and horror content change along with it. And there are still genuine mysteries around that are not art projects. They are often related to lost media searches, since lost media has become a big part of online culture recently. A modern online mystery might be if a creepy PSA known as Hitokata exists. Okay, that's an old story, but it's only recently become popular in the West. But I'm sympathetic to those who feel nostalgic for the 2000s era and miss the vibe of the past mysteries. Like WebDriver Torso just hits different, as interesting as I find these modern searches of Saki Sanobashi or Hitokata. Liking mysteries feels like it's some integral part of humanity, so I'm sure that as long as we are around, new mysteries are there to puzzle us, making us wonder and ask ourselves, have I dreamed of this man?
Be